Welcome Bio4 and welcome to the cochlea, which is the region of the inner ear. So let's look at that. This is actually the section of the ear that hears. So less so about equilibrium and acceleration and hearing. So let's look at what it's made up of. It's divided into 3 different tunnels. Okay, these tunnels have fluid in them, and these tunnels are dug out of bone. So little channels. There are 3. The top one is going to be called the scala vestibuli, and it's going to end in a structure called the oval window. The middle one called the cochlear duct, and the third one called the tympanic duct, which is sort of below. And the scala vestibuli and the tympanic duct, those are connected to each other. Let's look at pictures. Let's see if I want to show you this one. Let me show you this one first, and then I'll go back. So here, there is the scala vestibuli, right? Here's the scala tympani or the tympanic duct. And then sort of nestled in between both of them there is the cochlear duct, and all of them with fluid. And where are the neurons? The neurons are going to be here in the cochlear duct. But this scala vestibuli and the scala tympani are connected. So if I were to continue around like this, you know that they connect to each other way deep like that. Okay, so let's backtrack to the previous slide and let me show you what happens here. You're going to have, if you follow the purple, we've got purple that circulates around here, purple, purple around, and it comes into here. And then it's going to start the red, which comes around, red comes around here and out there. So the red and the purple are fluid connected. They both arrive here at this dead end and they're going to connect. Okay, in this little shell-like structure. Okay, so we go back here and then cochlear duct in the middle, and I wanted to also show you the nerves that are exiting from here, from this scala vestibuli, from this cochlear duct here where the neurons are. Okay. So, how do you hear? This picture I really like because it's showing you how that little coil, the little snail coil, is uncoiled. So if I could uncoil it this way, I would end up then, right, with one chamber, vestibuli, that goes around, comes all the way around here, and continues on, and ends here in the round window. So look. Oval window is where? Oval window is where the stapes comes in of the little bone of the ear. Pushes, and this fluid is going to push, 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 and it's going to come around and it's going to slam up against the round window. But more importantly than it just pushing it in that direction, it's going to also, because of this wave, and you know how strong waves can be, right? Ocean waves, this wave can deflect the fluid that's sitting inside the cochlear duct. So imagine these waves crashing, and if they crash, they're going to make the fluid inside the cochlear duct move a little bit. And if the fluid moves around in the cochlear duct, it's going to have an effect on those neurons that is sitting in that fluid. They're sitting in that fluid, all of a sudden that fluid moves, and they are going to be stimulated to send an action potential to the brain saying, hey, something's happening, I'm hearing something. Okay? All right, so let's move on then. There's a really nice cochlear animation that I've posted for you, and that is an animation showing what happens when sound comes into your ear. Really nice, so you should watch it. Okay, let's look more closely at that organ of Corti, in other words, those neurons. So remember, we're going to call them hair cells. So here's one, right? And here's another, and they're sitting there. And they've got these nerve fibers that exit. And they kind of have a ceiling and a floor. The floor is called the basilar membrane here. And so they're sort of, in relationship to the floor, they're being quiet. The roof here is the tectorial membrane. Now, once fluid hits all this, right, because sound has come into your ear and it's hit the stapes, and the stapes move the fluid, and the fluid is now moving around in your ear, then the relationship that you have to the base of the floor and to the top here is going to change, because these are going to get moved around. And so this sort of quiet connection here is going to be disrupted, and it's no longer quiet. One's going to rub over the other one, right, as this is able to move because of the fluid. That's the tectorial membrane. This is in words for you. Let's see if we read it, if we understand it. The organ of Corti consists of hair cells rising from the basilar membrane, from the floor. That's good. The tips of the hairs touch the tectorial membrane, which is the ceiling. Now, when the basement membrane vibrates, the hair cells are bent, sending a nerve impulse. So it's the ceiling and the floor moving in relationship to each other that's going to cause that action potential in those neurons. As a summary, we're going to say sound waves enter the external auditory meatus. Okay, we're going in there. The tympanic membrane vibrates, the eardrum vibrates. Okay, the auditory ossicles vibrate. Okay, the three little bones, the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, they're going to vibrate on that oval window that pushes that fluid, which is called perilymph. Perilymph in the scala vestibuli and scala tympani, they move. Okay, they're moving in there. And the basilar membrane vibrates. And this causes vibration of the hair cells against the ceiling. And the ceiling is the tectorial membrane. So in that case, a nerve impulse is sent along a specific nerve. What nerve? It's actually called the vestibulocochlear nerve, and it goes off to the brain. And now you're going to detect sound. It's actually very cool. I want to show you something else, so I want to come back and show you on this one. High pitch and low pitch is going to happen when the crashing of that wave is going to be sooner or later. So that is how you're going to determine pitch and how of that sound coming in, depending on where it makes that vibration. And the louder it is, the greater the disturbance of that fluid. The ears are very cool, I think. You can damage your hair cells. So hair cells are those neurons, and they should look like they're in little neat little rows of V's like this, and they could look like this. This is what it would look like, after either working in an airport among the jets and not wearing your protective gear, or going to too many concerts where it's just so loud that it can just shave those neurons right off that basilar membrane. Not good. You do not get these back. They do not grow back. I'm going to show you the pathway of the auditory sense. So let's say they enter the medulla oblongata. So these axons then have just received it from the ear, right? And now they're going to feed it in to the medulla, and you've seen these because we've done the brain already. So it goes from the medulla to the inferior colliculus, and from the inferior colliculus, it's going to go over to the thalamus, which is kind of like everything goes through the thalamus, and then it goes to the temporal lobe, where it'll be interpreted, saying, yeah, I really like this music, or no, this sounds horrible. And as I said, different parts of the lobe are for high or low frequency sounds. So both this sound is coming in different places, and then it's getting interpreted in different places of the temporal lobe. Let's stop this right now, and we'll continue on the next video. So thanks for coming, guys. Bye.